Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. We are live. We are live and direct. And we are going to be doing the call-in show, the live show. That will be good fun. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Oh, and YouTube was playing on the other tab. I could hear myself. But yeah, listen, I'm going to put a link in the chat, guys. Hopefully, we can have some good conversations, some good debates. I'm hoping to make this a regular theme. If you have something you want to say, now is your chance to come in and quite literally say it. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. I'm going to give you my brief thoughts on what I saw yesterday. I did do the morning show as well, so some of you may have already watched that. This is an opportunity to speak with you, see what you have to say, and listen in on some good conversations. So I'm going to put the link in the chat now. The link is there. Hope you're doing well, Daniel. Good to see you back in. Michael, Lieutenant says we weren't even bad against Liverpool, to be honest. Michael says, I thought we were good, but needed to get the ball into the box more. We play around the box, and it takes ages to get into the danger area. Yeah, well, you're not entirely wrong there, are you? Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at it. You can look at it from a more positive lens, or you can, you can be a little bit more pessimistic. How do I pin something in the chat? I'm still trying to figure out this whole StreamYard thing. This is the link, guys. So if you do want to jump on, the link is here. I don't know how you pin this thing in the chat. I don't know how you do it. Does anyone know how you pin a link in the chat? Who knows? But anyway, listen, we're going to talk about what we saw. This can either be a little bit of a longer show or it will be very, very quick. Okay, so it's totally up to you. If more people jump in, then I'm happy to speak for a little bit longer, and we can go from there. Jay, he says, why don't we play Nkunku? If we actually want to win matches, he is going to score goals. Annoyed he isn't playing, to be honest. I mean, that's a fair point, Jay, but also Jackson scored. So, I mean, who do you drop? Do you drop Jackson or do you drop Nkunku? So I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Who do we switch? Who do we move in order to fit Nkunku in? Because that front four seems to be pretty much solidified. So are you saying that we drop Jackson? Do we play Palmer in a different position in order to fit Nkunku behind Jackson? Or do we replace a winger like Madueke or Sancho? So where does Nkunku fit in? I'd be interested to see how that works. So let me know what you think about that. Daniel says, I hope Chelsea wins the Conference League and wins the trophy this season because we have been in the mud for 2 seasons under the ownership. Well, yeah, we have been in the mud, let's be honest. But, and I was saying this a little bit earlier on, can you not agree with me that we have improved? Do you not think we've improved? There we go. The Wi-Fi went out for a second there. Yeah, so sorry, I had the wrong Wi-Fi, so I just had to switch it. I think that we improved massively. If you look at year 1, Tuchel, Potter, Lampard, we finished 12th. Year 2, we finished 6th. I think we're on track for another improvement this year. I really believe that. I'm not just saying it for the fun of it. I do believe that we are on track and we can actually get something out of this. But, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think. I got another comment in from Gregory. Hi, I hope you are well. Enjoyed the game, but Sanchez needs to keep in his goalkeeping. I'm not entirely sure what you mean, to be honest with you, Gregory. I think I know what you mean, but I'm not entirely sure. Father, I hope you're doing well, my friend. How's it going?
Good afternoon. All good, man. All good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So I've said to myself, I said, listen, the live shows are going to be the new thing post match. Do you know what it is? It's so difficult to. What's happened?
Yeah. How much fun?
It's so difficult to. I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, go on.
What were we talking about?
About live shows.
Oh yeah. It's so difficult to do all these pre-recorded ones, man. It's so difficult. I think live's just easier, you know. I mean, it's more time consuming, don't get me wrong. I've never been on camera so much in my life, but I think it is probably the way to go. And I think people just prefer it, don't they? I mean, do you watch a lot of live stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't really have a chance to catch up yesterday. I saw you straight after the game, and it was like, "Hey, father," and then it was like, "Bye," literally, hello, goodbye. I mean,
you know what? Yesterday, because I was with some of my pals here, so I need to get them out first before I do, because they're the ones that don't know the road. So I was with my Indonesian pals that I told you about. So we sat together with Tony and then the others as well. But then, like, I was gonna go back to London with them, but they said like they want to go to Manchester straight after the game. So you know what? Go ahead, but I'll go back. So then I asked Jay if I can get a lift back, and then he said, yeah, that's what. But he also said that we need to get up quick because of the charging. We got electric cars as well, so they need to be charged. So yeah, so it's a bit hectic as well.
how long did it take to charge, and did you have to stop off more than once to charge?
It was stopped more than once.
What car was it? It's not a Tesla then.
Hyundai only.
Hyundai. And how many miles does it go before you have to charge it?
Roughly about 60 miles.
That's not great. That's not great. 60 miles. How many? You must have stopped like 3-4 times.
Electric cars, I don't know, because I'm not that kind of auto kick in that, but I heard Hyundai only could go like at least 60, 70 miles, maybe about, literally half of what Liverpool London distance, about 200 miles or so. But yeah.
I can't believe that. I mean, I have really bad memories of electric cars because have I told you the story of Germany?
Oh, what? It was in Dortmund away?
Nah, not Dortmund. Not Dortmund. It was
Euros.
for the Euros. Yeah, for the Euros. God, what happened? So I went to the Euros with my dad, and oh my god, honestly, it was horrible. So we booked last minute flights, last minute hotels. So as soon as we beat Holland, I said, "Come on, Dad, we've got to go. I'm not going to go on my own. I want to go with someone." I was like, "Come on, Dad," and he was like, "All right, fine. I'll do the hotels. You do the flights." I was like, "Cool, I'll do the flights." So I was booking all these flights, and the final was in Berlin, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we couldn't fly directly into Berlin. We couldn't do it. It wasn't possible. So I had to go to, where did we go? Fuck, what's the name of that? Where it's a really famous place in Germany. It's where I think it's where it was really badly.
Was it Leipzig or Dresden?
Dresden. Yes, Dresden. So yeah, we went to Dresden, and you then have to get a train from Dresden into Berlin, right? But we got there really late. Like we arrived at like 11 p.m., half 11. And by the time we got there, we wanted to rent We wanted to get a train. The trains were all finished. We couldn't get a coach. So we said, right, we're going to rent a car.
Yeah.
And the car place was about to close. But he said, listen, we've got one electric car and you can rent it. Okay, how much is it? I can't remember how much. It was expensive. It was seriously expensive, man. And we said, listen, the journey is going to take us like, I don't know, let's just say 200 miles or something like that, 200 kilometers. And we got there, getting this car. It's a really small car, Father. It's not a big car at all. I don't even remember what it was. I think it might have been like a Clio. Like it was, yeah, it was. Oh, was it Clio? I can't remember, but I know it was a small car. That's what I do know. So it was a small Clio, and then literally we get in there. He says to us, this will last you. Maybe the trip wasn't 200 miles, like 120. He was like, this will last you the whole trip. You will be able to get there on this electric vehicle. Father, we went 30 miles and we were down to 20% on the battery. I was like, fuck, man. We need to sort this out. So I was like, okay, we need to find a charging port. And we found one. We were on 15% now. But this charging port wasn't working. It stopped working. It was the perfect charger, but it wasn't working. And by this point, it's like 1 a.m. It's late. Yeah. Then we look for another charging port. We have like one of the worst, like there's different cables, like an iPhone and an Android use different cables, right? It's like that with the charging. And we try and use these cables. We have a different one. So by this point, we're on like maybe 10%. We then find a Tesla charging port, which uses a different charger to ours. So that doesn't work. And we bump into a German guy who was like, listen, this is what we need to do. We need to find a charging place from somewhere else. And he gives us his last location. And we go to this location. And it turns out in Germany, if you want to charge your cars, you need like an Oyster card.
Oh, you know, my God.
And without your Oyster card, you can't charge.
Oh, that's
You can't tap in with your phone, nothing. You need your Oyster card in Germany. So we stayed there until like, I don't know, I'm going to say 4 a.m., just waiting up. And then basically we called the AA in Germany, the German AA, and they took the car away and we got a train at like 5 a.m. Got into Berlin, had breakfast and went to bed and then watched the football. So I don't really enjoy electric cars after that experience.
Luckily, you know what? At least this time is like, I mean, the first stop that we had to wait for about 30 minutes, 10 to 30 minutes roughly, because it was like packed. The first stop, it was like a couple of miles outside by M62. I forgot.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like around M62 services. It was bare Liverpool fans. It was chaos though. Like because some of us that travel to London, we're gonna have to drive to Liverpool because of the trains.
I'm with you. I mean, I looked at the train prices earlier on. Some of the train tickets, how much would it have cost to get a train?
Roughly about 157.
Oh my God. Is that with a rail card or without a rail card?
Without rail card. Right,
I've got a rail card. So yeah, I guess that's something. It's still ridiculous. It's like 100, even with
yesterday's.
Were you talking about the game now?
Yeah.
Come on then, Father. What do you think, mate?
I hand on heart yesterday. I thought to myself, you know what? When I get back into the car, I'm not gonna be that mad. And as it turns out, it was like should have, could have, would have. The should have was make this should have was like maybe change a bit of system, because we're getting caught up, we're getting found out. I think in that Liverpool game.
Found out. What do you mean found out?
I think it's the way that we play from the back as well. It was way too obvious as well that we're trying to get the ball into Palmer, but I never seen Cole Palmer was getting locked up in a game like that by Gravenberch and Curtis Jones yesterday. It was mad. Like he couldn't even get out. He couldn't even create to not a pass and then to the final third. It was literally like both of them had Palmer on lock yesterday. So this is why I was alluded to you like a couple of weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
When one player cannot perform well, at least you need another player to step up. That is where I feel like if you look at the example of those kind of situations, like look at Leicester when they won the league in 2016. When Vardy has their main man is a Vardy. When Vardy has a great game, everybody just keep winning. When Vardy had a bad game, other people's got to step up. Look at Mahrez chipping it in, Kante chipping it in. That's the thing. I think if you look at this team so far that we've had, the only players that could head up high, like they're probably taken away from that game, like positive note, probably Lavia and Caicedo.
They're the only ones that they can have something positive to take from.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't think that's a bit harsh?
I just think other players, other than that, I just think they were off the pace. All right, Jackson, in and that, not a lot of kind of like chances in that final third. Like, how many chances did Jackson have? Like one in the first half, second half he got the goal. I mean, really, do we really tested Kelleher that much in the second half?
No, we didn't test Kelleher that much. But I mean, so because I got a message from Don, and I agreed with what he said. To be fair, he said our midfield was great in that game, and it was the defense and the attack that let us down. I think that's probably a good way of summarizing it, but I think it still makes it seem like all of our attackers played badly or all of our defenders weren't good. That's not an accurate way of speaking about this game, because I don't think that you can look at. I don't think Reece James was bad. I don't think Levi Cole was actually that bad. I know he conceded the penalty, but I don't think he had a bad game. I think he had a bad moment. I don't think he had a bad game. Tosin wasn't very good. I'm with you there. I think Gusto struggles on the left, but I don't think he was terrible, like some people are saying. And then if you go up top, I don't think Madueke was that bad. I don't think that Jackson was terrible. I mean, he scored. Sancho was quiet. Palmer was definitely quiet as well. Neto came on and was exceptional. He was brilliant. He made a great impact. So there's more than two players. That's my point. That you can say they did something well. Like we got something out of that.
I would like to kind of like make a point on that Gusto side, because that is where I genuinely feel that Gusto's form from last season to this season somehow is very questionable. Maybe it's because that inverted thing that he's still getting used to it, but I think this is yesterday's case that wasn't the first time the Gusto was playing as an inverted left back. I think he tried that during the cfctvyt game, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't working.
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, let us know in the comments, guys, if you've seen Gusto play on the left.
I'm not sure about you. Just double check on that. I think that's the second time or maybe third time.
Because I'm sure Vega would have played there against cfctvyt.
I don't really understand why not Vega starting this game. Is it because that the magnitude is this high? Like maybe he was just like too scared to risk it, or I would have preferred maybe a natural left back like Vega to put in there rather than Gusto. Like if you're gonna start either Reece James and Malo Gusto cannot start together, because
they're both right backs.
Both of them are right backs, yeah.
I mean,
Even
yeah,
Reece James getting hooked off early as well. Like that's just goes to show that he's not fully 100% yet.
of course, though he's not started a game for that long. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I want to see what Ahmed. I mean, what do you think about what you've seen?
Hi guys, great show as always. Wanted to say that in terms of yesterday's game, one of the things what I've noticed is the fact that the Caicedo and Lavia pivot has been a very vital one, and I think this has to be in the future because the moment Enzo came in, we completely lost the midfield, and that was completely like means we the amount of control Lavia got us in that midfield was completely lost the moment Enzo came in. We did not have the ball, and in terms of the same thing, in terms of like you were speaking just now with regards to Gusto being on the left back, that doesn't work at all because yes, we were going forward, but that left Colwell what to do with a lot of things, and he became quite anxious in terms of the Salah space and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Ahmed, what do you think about Gusto on the left? I mean, if I was to ask you, what would you rate him out of 10? What would you give Gusto?
On the basis of yesterday's performance, I would give him a good 6. But that is also because of his offensive side, because on the defensive aspect, he wasn't really helping. It allowed Salah to drift in. Basically, if you can see that means the first, most both the penalties, it was completely in that situation. Colwell was so much agitated. He got the shot, deflection. He tried to stop him because somehow the ball fell in front. It was completely all over the place.
I mean, I thought to myself before the game, I thought, well, I guess Salah's left-footed. If he's going to try and cut inside, Gusto might have something on him there, but he didn't really do too well in that battle.
Agreed. In terms
So
of like Salah being left-footed, it didn't help out because if you see the assist, it came that same thing only. He came all the way inside. He put a great ball into Curtis Jones, and that should have been stopped. But in terms of the entire goal, if you see Tossin not having an idea, someone running over his shoulder, then Reece James not completely being match fit, it cost us that single, or you can say that continuous mistakes, all of them together, cost us that goal, to be honest.
no, I'm with you on that. I mean, CJ's jumping in as well. What do you think, CJ?
Just based on the game overall.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Gusto at the moment. I mean, what do you think about Gusto?
Uh See, I can understand why Maresca went with James, and then Gusto over at left back because I don't know if Vega going forward, in terms of just that balance, would have been maybe a lot better than Gusto. Again, we've seen Gusto play left back sometimes last season, and he did pretty all right. So it's not like it's a very unfamiliar role for him. I just think his end product at times, final ball was just awful. And
When you
it
say
showed
the final ball, you're talking about Gusto
like
now, yeah?
Gusto, yeah,
Um,
like the crosses and trying to get those like first time crosses in because I think he tried one on his left foot and it was just awful.
it was terrible.
It was
But I
just
mean, that's
awful.
understandable, isn't it? He's not left-footed, so it's
Yeah,
hard.
but here's the thing though, we've seen Aspie play on that side. We've seen a lot of right footed players play on the left, and I'm sorry, bro. Like professionally, those crosses with that left foot should not be that bad. It really shouldn't. Like, no, it was. He had a decent game. I think he saw more of the ball, if anything. Just didn't really do much with it. Um,
Mm.
but again, I can't really say too much because defensively he was pretty all right. Like he wasn't getting done a lot by Salah. Um, and yeah, that's what I think. I think Gusto was decent. Nothing too crazy.
I think he was all right. Yeah, I mean, people saying, "Oh, Reece James should start every week ahead of Gusto." I think we're getting a little bit carried away. Although we can all agree, um, at their best, Reece James is a better player who has a higher ceiling. But Gusto's been solid for us since he signed, and
This season, though, however, he's been like a 5 out of a 10 for the most part. Like I think,
he's not been as
Gu-
good as he was last year. Definitely.
yeah, Gusto's start to the season has been a lot. It's been shocking. It's probably the way I put it because like we've been having conversations about Gusto being like a better fullback than Ben White in certain circumstances, and this season it's just I don't know. Gusto hasn't come back this season yet, so
I think I think that's got to do with the inverted position, to be honest. Because if you see, and other than Cucurella, nobody else has been able to play that position in a very fluid manner with a high level understanding of the positioning. To be honest, because if you see Gusto overlapping and putting in crosses has been very good, but if you put that context in terms of inverting, which he has done in the last couple of games, he's tried that, but it has not been successful at all.
yeah, I've always thought like Gusto when it comes to like that inverted role. I don't think he should be doing it. I just feel like there's gonna be certain games where you just go with players in their right and strongest position. So Gusto is an overlapping fullback. You just let him overlap. And if you want, you can
Exactly,
have Cucurella. Cucurella inverts better than any of our fullbacks anyway, because
100%.
he's just that good of a player. But yeah, this new inverting role for Gusto, for me, it ain't it. I probably would have went with Vega to start anyway, because I think he gives you, that height. I think he gives you that aggression as well. Because when he came in, he was trying to stick it on Salah a bit for me, and I don't think he would have been, getting spun a lot. Whenever he's come on, he's looked good. Whenever he started a game, he's looked good as well. So again, it's just a toss up. But missing Cucurella in this game was very big. I think with Cucurella, we have a bit more balance on that left. And maybe Gusto doesn't start this game, but I can't really complain about the game too much, to be honest. We just lost
So
to the better team.
yeah, I mean, so where is it when you look at inverting? Where is it that you see Gusto not being as good as Cucurella, for example? What is it about that role that Cucurella does well compared to Gusto?
I think one, it's the positions that Cucurella picks up. Two, I think it's the passing and being comfortable in possession. And then just being Cucurella plays like in that role, he plays like a midfielder almost. And I just think he just gets the role better. Like his skill set is just better suited. He can hold on to the ball, he can pass the ball. It's just the intelligence. Gusto is a bit more like, when during preseason when we saw James trying to invert and
Oh, that was not good.
it was just looking hella awkward. I
Yeah.
think that's the same thing with Gusto. Like Cucurella just just understands the role, and he's very versatile in terms of someone who can play as a left center back, left wing back, invert into midfield. It's just, you see certain players and they just get it. They have the right profile. They can just understand the role better and just execute. And Gusto's execution is just not great in that role.
Yeah, I mean, do you agree with that, Father?
I agree. I just generally think that if Gusto wanna do inverted thing, I think probably he's on the right. Like I think that's the best position that he could have asked for. Really, that is. I just think that maybe switching Reece James onto the left hand side could do a bit more from yesterday as well. But
I think that's a bit of a risky one as well, though, isn't it?
I would. It's a risk and reward, in my opinion. Like I would take that
Oh, he's
gamble.
not started a game in what, almost a year in the Premier League?
I understand that, but at least you got to try to do something different from yesterday. I can see what he's trying to do, playing that Gusto, but when it's not working for roughly about like I can say maybe when after we went 2-1 down, like it was almost the fact that we're going sideways in that. So either you take that risk, play that risk, reshapes on the left, or kind of like switch Gusto to the right. Simple as that. That's the only way that can make out for him.
Yeah, I mean, Ahmed, do you agree with what we're saying? We're going to move on in a second.
Yes, I completely agree, to be honest. But in terms of one more thing with Kukurea is the fact that he is well versed with that position, because being a player from Spain, you are well versed with the tiki taka roles and everything. So you have an idea how to play that role, how to play those passes and everything. In terms of Gusto, I don't think so. He helps his case in any way in trying to be that inverted role.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to move on, guys. We're going to move on to we'll go a little bit more central. I want to speak about Colwell. I want to speak about Tosin as well. I mean, I personally don't think Colwell had a bad game if you take away that mistake. I think if you take away the mistake, he was actually absolutely fine. It was just a bit of a bozo moment. I mean, do you guys agree with that? Let's start with you, Father.
Yeah, it was one of those unfortunate circumstances that happened to him yesterday. And with this kind of magnitude as well and the high pressure of games, like sometimes the pressure just got onto you so much, and that is where the lacks of concentration that starting to kick in, and that this thing that it's going to happen to us a couple of times this season in those high pressure moments. Especially you got the Liverpool, one of the best attacking teams in the Premier League as well, alongside Chelsea. And then they got Salah, Diaz, and Gakpo playing in the front three, and then just causing us some havoc in the back. So fair play to Colwell yesterday. He did try.
Everyone tried.
I don't want to get onto him that much about the penalty mistake in that, but yeah, it's just that maybe a bit of defensive awareness at the back could do a bit more, but I think it's just a part of the game. Like maybe the guys could have done a lot better and improving a lot. And Colwell's going to be a good centre back this season, in my opinion. He's the one that will be under the watch as well. I thought as well in the second half that maybe his defending was so good as well when he kept Nunez quiet as well sometimes. But yeah, man, need to see Colwell more in this coming games as well.
I think he's brilliant. You can't let a moment define you as a player. I think that Colwell, he's got everything, mate. He's got everything. And I think he is improving. I think he's getting better, but it's just those moments. And yeah, I mean, it was a little bit clumsy, wasn't it? But, you know, I'm not going to blame the whole performance on him. I think that there's a little bit more to it on that. CJ, I mean, I would go and say that Colwell's undroppable in this Chelsea side. I think you've got to build the team around him. I mean, do you disagree with that? And what did you make of his performance as well?
Nah, I mean, I think Colwell, honestly, I believe all our center backs kind of had shaky moments. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but
I can hear you.
Okay. I think the mistake for that penalty, I think it just got to him, you know, the crowd getting on him as well. But decent game. I think our defenders in general just looked kind of scared a bit, and you could put it down to like you know, Anfield and being a big game, and you know it's a pressure moment. But I think Colwell overall this season has been our better defender. I think he's improving a lot. You know, I hear rivals say he's overrated. You know, I think he's not, you know, that world-class player. I think he's a good player trying to get to very good. But so far, he's been one of our better center backs. You know, he's shown more maturity. And I just, you know, I'll tax this game off to like a one-off. You know, everyone is entitled to having a game where they're just not their scintillating best. But we only conceded 2 goals. And I'll say maybe only the first one really had anything to do with Colwell. So, decent game as well.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I mean, Kev, welcome to the building, my friend. What did you think about Colwell yesterday? Because I mean, I was sat next to you. I didn't think he was that bad, but I do agree that it was a bit of a bozo moment. In the stadium, we couldn't actually see the penalty because there was a guy in front of us. His head was covering everything. But when I watched the replay, I mean, it was a pen. But I mean, apart from that, was he okay?
I think we looked shaky throughout the game at the back. I think it didn't help with Sanchez being a bit irrational as well. Charging out for their penalty, which never got given to him. And he could have done better with their second goal. But the whole back line looked a lot shaky than usual. Badishile surprisingly come on and done well. It's made us a little bit more relaxed. He looked good on the ball. But Colwell, answer to question, he didn't have a good game. He's given the ball away quite a bit, to be fair, and charging it for tackles, giving free kicks away and silly fouls. Maybe the atmosphere, like that guy just said, maybe the atmosphere was a bit too much for him. I don't know, but it
So
wasn't
you
his
think the
typical.
occasion got the best of him then? So you're
Potentially. Yeah, I think the occasion got to the whole team. I think it was a hostile environment
do you really believe that? I mean, I know
for most of the game.
I think that if I look at the first 10 minutes, I'm just trying to rewind my head. I felt like actually we were okay. And then we had those penalty appeals and it started getting a little bit crazy from that point. But I mean, it wasn't that we were doing anything stupid. I mean, Liverpool were very direct, not as direct as they were under Klopp, but they get the ball up the pitch so quickly and so well. I think Gusto, if he'd have taken care of Salah, we would have been in a much better position because he was orchestrating a lot of what they were doing on their right hand side. But I mean, I thought we controlled parts of the game very well. I certainly would have said the atmosphere got to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? It is difficult. But I mean, we can all agree Tosin wasn't good enough. I mean, I was so surprised. I thought honestly, Kev, I thought to myself, this is your moment. I've been backing you. I said, listen, Tosin, he is the man. I'd rather he starts over Fofana, but maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I mean, I still believe that Fofana needs to prove over a season that he can stay fit, if I'm totally honest. But I mean, Tosin didn't make a great case for himself.
No, I think he slowed down the game a lot. I think once he got on the ball, it seemed like if you was watching us first half and you've seen how slow that ball was moving, he completely slowed it down. And when Badashile come on, he started quickening up. The ball started coming forward a bit quicker. So it was a good tactical decision by Maresca to make the substitution. But I just feel like the defence on the whole yesterday was a bit shaky. And it's just because it's Liverpool. Liverpool know what they're doing. Liverpool throughout the game was getting at us, getting on us. It's getting wide, was going wide, doubling on us. And it was hard to watch at times. But in comparison to what we seen last year, it was a massive step up. And I do believe if we had Cucurella and Fofana in that team yesterday, it would have been a totally different game. I believe that we could at least pinch the draw. But when we started Gusto left back first half, you could see where the problem was lying. I think he kept on cutting back in on his right foot and he wasn't going that wide to make the space because obviously if you're a right-footed player playing the left, you always want to come inside. So that space on the left wasn't used going forward correctly. But I think when we brought Viega on, there was a lot more balls going out on that left. Neto, obviously, as well. There was more space on left. So second half was a lot more better. But I feel like if we had a Cucurella first half, I think it would have been more solid, compact, and would have had a lot more of that ball on that left.
Yeah, I mean, Father, what do you make of Tosin's performance?
I thought he had a hard game yesterday. There was some couple of times he got caught in the transition as well. The second penalty that was, I think it was one of the players. Was it Curtis Jones running behind him, and he wasn't good yesterday. He wasn't good. Very poor from him. I thought maybe he could have done a lot better in terms of the not letting people around him. But that second goal as well, Reece James and that tossing area, that was wide open. Like, how do you let Curtis Jones just running behind like that yesterday? And it was unusual for him because I thought he's the most, like, I like him a lot as a player, but sometimes him and Colwell just had that weird moments somehow yesterday. Maybe it's just that concentration again, lots of concentration from our defensive backline. That's why we keep conceding a lot of goals this season, and that is the kettle in the fish that happened yesterday. And it's unfortunate as well that we are so good in the attack, but at the same time we just knew we were going to keep conceding some goals.
So I mean, it was a tough game for Tosin. Do you think that without him we would have got the result like Kev said if we'd have had Fofana in there, for example?
You see, Fofana for me hasn't been that impressive at all. I just think that with the way the selection does for that game alone, I don't think Fofana would have fit enough. Like, what I mean by that is the system because of the transition. I don't think Fofana is gonna. Gakpo will causing a lot of problems if Fofana starts because Gakpo is that mobile. He's quick, he's pacey, and then literally like Fofana, I'm not sure where he's at the moment this season because he hasn't been that the same player as he used to be, and it wouldn't make any difference whatsoever because we just had that, like, whether it's Fofana or Tosin, everyone gonna have that bozo moments. That's the unfortunate part as well. And if we're gonna do this process thing after this season and the next couple of years, we're gonna have to change something up, like bring some new backline, bring some new fresh backline at least. That's the only thing that I can think of.
I mean, yeah.
I know it's hard, but all we want is quality.
We want quality. I mean, we're paying a lot of money though, Father. How much more do you pay? I mean, actually, in fairness, you can't really criticize the signing of Tosin. He was on a free. So I'm not going to sit here and say it was a bad investment. But I did think that we'd see more from him than we did. I mean, Ahmed, what's your stance on Tosin? What's your stance on the defense as a whole? I mean, does he fit into our plans long term? Is this just a one-off, or I mean, where do you think it's going?
I think it's the first time. I can't recall it, to be honest. Since has he ever started in the Premier League for us? Means
No.
Tosin. So
No.
it was his first start. So I think that yes, that was a big error, to be honest, for me as well. But the fact is that if you look at our backline since last, let's say, 5 games, it has been the same one. So they have a better gelling up. And in terms of when you suddenly change, like Gusto has to go on the left back, Reece James on the right back, and Tosin. So in terms of gelling together as a centre back pairing, that was not there because they had no idea. I mean, Scoville, Tosin, there was no communication, which you can see in the very start also. And one thing which I'm only concerned about Tosin, I don't want to be very picky about it, but the fact is that it's his lack of pace. Means playing that high line and lack of pace. He was able to, means the runner like Jota was able to run straight in, and he was completely at seat in that regard. So it's like he's trying to get up to him. He's trying to make him, because he doesn't have that pace. Means in terms of Fofana, he is a little bit more mobile. As you can see, they both complement each other. The Colwell is much more physical. That's the thing. But it's his first start, so I'm going to say that let's give him some time. Let's see if they can get a good partnership between them. If I'm not for completely full, what do you say, trusty with regards to Fofana as well, but let's see. As when you're playing at Anfield at such a big game, you're bound to pick at all of these things. But I want to see him over the course of, let's say, 15 games or over the course of the season. Then only we can take a call in terms of these things.
I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, CJ, do you agree with that?
I mean, to be honest, like, I think the center back partnership, like, when you just look back at the game, I'm trying to think how many times Liverpool were really cutting us open, like, time and time and again. It happened a few times, but I think the thing about Tosin is he doesn't have like blistering pace, but like he has like long strides, so he can still catch up to like attackers if needed. Like, there was a time where it looked like the Liverpool forward was going to run behind Tosin, but he recovered and he cleared out that ball. I mean, I just think long term Tosin might not be the solution. I'm thinking more of like if we're trying to really be consistent and going to win the leagues, like you need a Van Dijk type of defender. You need like a Luis Diaz, someone who's just he comes in and you just know like your defense, or someone like a young Thiago Silva.
Right.
Someone who just dictates, controls that defense, organizes everything. I don't think Tosin is going to be that guy. I think at best Tosin is going to be like a squad player, and that pretty much will be it. But it's just like even yesterday's game, the second goal we conceded, I blame Sanchez a lot because I think he stayed back way too late. Like he really could have came out and grabbed that ball from Jones's foot because that touch from Jones was a bit heavy. Sanchez had enough time to come forward and dive on that ball and grab it. But I think maybe because of the penalty incident where he conceded that, I think that was still probably playing in his mind.
I think that's
that
Kev.
confused me for a second.
Kev, what are you doing playing FIFA, Kev?
So, but I think
sorry, man.
You're good. That whole incident was probably still playing in his mind, hence why he kind of hesitated. And then if you're even gonna come on and kind of get a block on that ball, you gotta like stretch out your left arm just in case. Like he just kept his hands close to his body slightly for me. I just think Sanchez for me is a problem. I'm not gonna hold you. If we had
so you don't see any world where Sanchez is capable of being Chelsea's number one, and let's just say we're in the top 4 world. This is the conversation we're in. You don't think Sanchez is capable of being Chelsea's goalkeeper in that scenario?
No, I'd rather have Petrovic over Sanchez. That's how much like Sanchez has these moments where it's like there's a disconnect in his brain. It's almost like he shuts down for a second. And he just loses focus and he just does some weird shit. And we've seen this happen time and time and again. In that first half, that pass to was it Jota? He got lucky. The pass came right back to him.
Oh God, I remember.
You know what I mean? Against Brighton, coming out for that punch and missing everything completely, passing the ball to Caicedo, and it's just Sanchez ain't it. I'm sorry, and you don't even need a Diogo Costa. You don't need no big name goalkeeper. You just need someone who's got the basics down, and you're good to go. Sanchez just puts us under too much pressure. Like you can't have your defense as confident when they know every time your goalkeeper can just undo all the good work you've done. And that's Sanchez in a nutshell.
But he can also bail you out, and he has bailed us out at times. So does that not, compensate a little bit?
It's hard to say that because it's like at the end of the day, as a goalkeeper, you're expected to bail out your team. Like that's your job. You're supposed to make saves. All this extra things about for me, look, I don't care if a goalkeeper can play out from the back. I understand that's how the manager wants to go, but I want a goalkeeper who can save goals. You prevent goals and we keep it moving. Like Petrovic last season when they came in it just felt like the defense was a bit more relaxed, more confident. Sanchez is just long term. This guy should not be a goalkeeper. If we're trying, even for top 4, I think Sanchez might be enough for top 4, but he will probably cost us some very valuable points, as he's done over and over again.
I mean, I'd love to tally it over in 6 months because I do think 6 months is enough time to really see it. I don't think that you can judge it based on a couple of games, but I mean, there's a reason Poch dropped him for Petrovic, and I totally agree with you. I think Petrovic is a better goalkeeper. But I do think that when Sanchez is on form, he does have good distribution. It's just not very much. Like his feet, it's almost like João Felix. You can see that he's got something, he just doesn't use it. And I almost think like Sanchez is a bit similar in the goalkeeping aspect, passing out. But yeah, I mean, Tem agrees. He thinks that the defense is more assured with Petrovic. I'm with you as well, Tem. We'll work our way up the pitch now, guys. I mean, let's talk about that midfield because that seems to be the highlight of what we saw. I mean, where do we start? Let's start with Ahmed. What do you think about the midfield, mate?
Like I said from the very start, like this midfield is what should be the main pivot. I don't think so. Enzo makes his case in any way since in the games he has started. Yes, he has better distribution, you can say, but the lack of defensive aspect has not only costed us, but it allows the opposition attacks to directly hit our defense. And in terms of like Caicedo, it puts a lot of pressure on him. In this, there's a better understanding, there's a better defensive prowess. And if you can see, even yesterday, the pass from Caicedo to Jackson for that goal is because he has an idea that Lavia is just really able to move a little bit forward, make those passes. Because in terms of this pivot, it allows a better balance than Enzo, to be honest.
I mean, Kev, we were sat next to each other. Lavia looked unbelievable when he started.
Yeah, unbelievable. He was doing everything that we want Enzo to do. Very, very press resistant. That's the word I can say. The way he was turning out of space, he was scanning, turning, pushing that ball forward, so comfortable on the ball, never hardly give the ball away. And in comparison to Enzo, when he's played in the pivot, he just looks shaky. And also, him and Caicedo, that could be a partnership for the next 7-8 years at Chelsea. It's that good. They're that good together. I think when Enzo comes on and plays in the pivot with Caicedo, I think Caicedo does Enzo's work for him, because Enzo doesn't want to run, he doesn't want to track his play, he doesn't want to put tackles in. So I think if you've got both players on the same wavelength, can do both jobs, you can have one pressing up the pitch and one sitting, and vice versa. With Enzo, he just wants to sit up. And when he came on yesterday, me and you had a discussion. We was like, where's Enzo playing? Was he playing cam? Was he playing right wing? What was his position in the field? He wasn't exactly tracking back. He wasn't leading. What was he doing? So all we've got to say is, can Lavia stay fit? If he stays fit, I'm telling you now, we've got a massive player on hands. I was really impressed with the work he done yesterday.
100%. I'm totally with you on that. Totally with you. And I'm going to share a quick clip. I shouldn't really, but I am going to share it. I'm going to share a quick clip. And I'm sure you might have already seen it, guys. But I've had this debate with so many people. And, we put this clip out. And it's me talking about Enzo Fernandez. So I'm just going to quickly play it, and then we'll go from there. Enzo Fernandez. I don't think he was that great. I have to appreciate the passes that Fernandez made. Is a couple of really good passes good enough to warrant a start for Chelsea Football Club? But I think unless you're a number 10, maybe you can get away with it then. But if you're in that midfield position, what do I expect from you? I expect you to win your 50-50s. I expect you to cover a lot of ground. I expect you to initiate the press, block and cover passes, link up the play, make your teammates around you better. I didn't really see it. Is he worth 100 million? No chance. So,
Yep.
I mean, let's just get the initial. First of all, just so you know, guys, I'm not hating on Enzo Fernandez when I say this. The reason I said it, and it wasn't clipped, was because I believe that Lavia should have always started ahead of Fernandez. I don't even think it was a discussion. And it's no surprise to see that Lavia is doing as well as he's doing, because honest to God, I just think he's a better player. I think he's a better player, and I think that the qualities he possesses are so good that you have to drop Enzo, and he complements the players around him, which is what you want from someone in the middle of the park. So, I mean, Father, what do you think about it, my friend? Also, you met Matt yesterday, and Matt is like the biggest fan of Enzo Fernandez in the world. I mean, Matt must even be thinking to himself, bloody hell, I don't think Fernandez is going to get much game time if Lavia keeps playing like
that. You know what? I was met him yesterday. I forgot what I told him about the Enzo stuff. Like, I know you're amazed with Enzo, but we gotta be objective on this one. But when he came on yesterday, I thought the balance in the midfield was gone completely. There's no agenda here. We have to be honest. I know he's so good going forward, but in terms of the defensive aspect, he's not that type of player. He's more of a playmaker in some ways, that creating goal when we're going forward.
But Father, a creator, like if that's your job, you're a 10. Enzo Fernandez is not a 10.
I understand that, but But the thing is he a centre midfield or is he a box to box? Then I'm not sure what his exact position.
He's
We
a
try
six.
him and
He's a six.
that's the thing. That's the thing. Why the midfield was why the balance was gone yesterday then when Lavia went off?
Why
We were
did
just
you? Sorry.
Why did the balance was gone yesterday in the midfield?
Oh no, I
I
agree
thought-
with you. I'm not saying that the balance wasn't gone. I'm just saying that well, I mean, Enzo Fernandez, come on, he was playing like an 8, I think, because he was trying to make those runs into the box, which is totally like I don't understand it at all. Like, honestly, if you want a player to do that, bring on Dewsbury Hall. I don't know why you bring on Fernandez if that's what you want. And actually,
the
go on.
with Enzo is as well. He was making the runs into the box, but there was no strength in his running. There was no like, when you're trying to get through, the defense just could clearly get that ball. So simple. It wasn't like he was running with any aggression to get on that ball. It was just too easy for Van Dijk and Canute just to step in front of him and get the ball. I'm confused the way he plays as well. Is he 8? Is he 6? Is he a deep lying playmaker? Is he a box to box? I'm yet to see the best of Enzo. And I feel like I said I said to Lewis a few weeks ago, when he first came to Chelsea, when he was number 5, he was playing with freedom, and we seen the best of Enzo. No, it's not that. I just feel like to get the best out of Enzo, I feel like he needs to play in the pivot by himself. I think with someone next to him. I think if another player's occupying that space, I don't think he's got the confidence to get on the ball as much. I feel like if he played
he has the confidence. Kev, he has the confidence. But Maresca's not telling him to play that. He's telling him to go further forward. Because Caicedo sits deep. So I think this is the problem, isn't it? Because you've got a player who his qualities on the ball, but there's not enough off of it. And actually, there's not enough on it as well. I mean, if we're being totally honest, he's not exactly the greatest shooter in the world.
Exactly.
And he was a direct replacement for Jorginho, and now he's been asked to play in a different role. I mean, imagine if we asked Jorginho to do what Enzo Fernandez is right now. I mean, he wouldn't be able to do it because it's not how he plays. I mean, I think that we look into the Panathinaikos game and we play Enzo as a number 6. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you've got to test it out. But I mean, we're not going to have much cover defensively. I mean, what do you think, Ahmed, regarding Enzo?
In terms of Enzo, if you have a look in terms of where he plays for Argentina and when he plays for Chelsea, it's the same in terms. You don't have that. He has a much more better security because defensive midfielders, they play in a 3-man midfield, but in a 2-man midfield, he will create lots of issues for us, to be honest. Because yesterday also, when he was making those runs into the boxes, who is he going to go against? He's going against Van Dijk and Konate, some two center backs who are 6 feet, and you're going to get him inside. And what is he going to do there? Nothing. There's no passing. There's no shooting. There is no facilitating because he wasn't making some kind of very good passes also. Like he wasn't playing any kind of through balls. It was like he was just running in that left side near Neto. He was just running in there, but there was no output.
That's the thing as well. I think if Fernandez was banging in a couple of goals, if he was able to get on the end of things, if he had a little bit more pace, I just think a little bit of pace would help him tremendously. Then maybe there's an argument to be made because he can retain the ball. He's quite silky with his feet, and his link-up play is very, very good at times. I remember the Brighton game when he linked up with Sancho, for example, and some of the balls he put through. I thought it was brilliant. But we're not seeing that enough. And I don't think that you can really see the best out of Enzo Fernandez because, the way it looks right now on screen is you've got Caicedo sitting and you've got Lavia basically sitting as well. Maybe, they have the freedom to go slightly further up, but they're not going to take many risks. They're both deep lying midfielders. I think if anyone's more likely to get up the pitches, it's Caicedo. But when you bring Fernandez into the picture, it doesn't really look like what we're seeing on screen because he's not going to sit here where Lavia is. He's going to look to sort of get into this area. And and link up with
Exactly. Yeah.
Sancho and Palmer. But when he receives the ball and he has to turn, he's not able to do it. He's not able to turn well, and he's obviously not facing the goal as well. So how's he going to know which pass to pick? So you're basically not allowing your second most expensive player to do what he is good at because of the position he's playing in.
Can I say something about the Enzo situation?
Of course.
Because I think, when we first signed Enzo and he played in almost that number 6 role under Graham Porter, I think that's when we saw the best version of Enzo Fernandez. I mean, this guy was dictating our play. He was the heartbeat of that team. So I think someone like an Enzo, I'm going to say playing him in those kind of roles that's when you probably see his best attributes, because once he picks up the ball, he sees the game ahead of him. Like, this guy has a pass on him, whether it's a long ball, whether it's a line breaking pass. Defensively, he's not the quickest. But, we've had players that have never been the strongest, the quickest, but they can think with their brain. Jorginho was an example where, as slow as he was, you could not get close to Jorginho because his brain worked so quickly. Now, I'm not saying Enzo is a Jorginho, but I'm saying Enzo can get to that part of his career where he uses his brain more. Toni Kroos was never an athletic player. He was never the quickest. But you play him in a role where it's just control the game, dictate the tempo, slow it down, quicken the play, pass the ball. And we know Enzo can pass the ball. Having him do these like overlapping runs, that's not Enzo's game. Like, he runs like he's got Timberland boots on with the parachute on his back. That's not his game. Like, when Maresca came in, before he came in, obviously, like, I'm not watching Leicester City's games. But when you look at who played in that number 6 role, Harry Winks, you saw the kind of profile in that role. That's what I thought Enzo was going to be for us, if we're being completely honest. The guy who picks up the ball, because Enzo, again, he's not as press resistant as maybe Caicedo or Lavia, but he's intelligent enough to be able to get out of the press. He can play those first time switches, and he opens up the whole pitch for you. But I think the role he's playing now as an 8, I don't think it suits him. And it's just the price tag is always going to be used against him because he cost 100 mil, and it's just unfortunate that we had to go pay so much, because if you don't pay 100 for Enzo when you did, you're not signing Enzo the next season. I'm sorry. Enzo is not coming to this mess that we had. So we paid premium for Enzo, but we just have to understand this is just what he is. He's just going to be able to play certain roles for you, and you just have to respect that. And I think sometimes people come a bit too hard on him, but I don't think he helps himself either. I think our strongest midfield is Lavia and Caicedo. That's that. Because you have everything. You
but
have
also
passion from Lavia. Everything.
Yeah, let me ask you this, CJ. So you've got Lavia and Caicedo in there. Do you think that? I mean, Lavia had to come off, right? Just like James had to come off, because they obviously haven't had many minutes. So that the sub had to be made. But would you have brought on another player instead of Enzo Fernandez? I mean, we have Dewsbury Hall, who's available. I don't think Chukwuemeka's in the squad, but there's an argument that maybe he's more suited to that position. Is there anything you would have done differently?
Honestly, I think the sub to bring Enzo on wasn't the worst. Again, let's not act like Dewsbury Hall has been lighting it up since he got here. Like, he's been chasing his touch.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. He definitely has. But I'm not looking at the Liverpool game and I'm thinking I'm bringing in Dewsbury Hall for that, because I think now you bring in Enzo and you have Pedro Neto and Kunku, and Palmer was still on the pitch. You're trying to see if you can have Enzo play some of these guys in behind. So Dewsbury Hall is not going to be the guy who's seeing that pass and playing it. So I can see why someone would want to bring Dewsbury Hall in, Dewsbury Hall in for the legs, but it's just Enzo can give you something a little bit more when it comes to just being able to go forward, create something out of nothing. Because he did create that opportunity for Noni with that weak right foot shot.
Mm.
I don't think Dewsbury Hall plays those kind of passes. Like I don't think he sees that.
Mm.
So it's just I would have brought in Felix if anything, with the way the game was going on, because you need to be able to unlock that Liverpool defense. Like you're already losing. I'd rather try to get a draw, and potentially get hit on the counter and lose 3-1. I could say I really went for it. So maybe I wouldn't even have brought Enzo on. I would have brought Felix and then Kunku on, and it just kept them moving. But that's me though.
No. Fair play. Fair play. I mean, I personally was looking at Dewsbury Hall and I thought, honestly, if you're asking Enzo to do what he was doing, I think Dewsbury Hall was just suited to that. Because honestly, nobody speaks about it either. Dewsbury Hall is that's his genuine position, right? That's literally what he did at Leicester. And I almost think it's a bit like Tosin, right? At least we know with Tosin now. We've seen it. Now, I'm never going to know what would have happened if Dewsbury Hall went in there, but he could have done very well. So, to be fair, I mean, I'm not saying that Maresca doesn't have any balls because, I mean, he started, it was quite a, I didn't expect it, to be honest with you. I didn't expect James. I didn't expect Gusto at left back. I certainly didn't expect him to drop Enzo Fernandez, although we all knew it was the right thing to do, or the majority of people, I think. So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Dewsbury will certainly have a run out against Panathinaikos. I'd like to see him do that with Enzo. I think that's a partnership that could blossom, especially in the Conference League games. I mean, Ahmed, where do you stand on this?
In terms of Dewsbury Hall, means like he said before, he only thing what I think he brings different from Enzo is his ability to shoot from outside the box, which could create any kind of deflection. It could create a little bit. It could the goalkeeper could parry it to somewhere. Jackson could go in for the second attempt. That's something because he at least is definitely a better shooter of the ball from outside the box than Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
In terms of playmaking, yes, I agree that Enzo is a better option, but what does he bring? That's what's my biggest thing. Means when I'm seeing yesterday the game also, or before that as well, he's in that position near the left wing. You have the left winger outside, but in that position between, let's say, a right back and the center back of the opposition team, he's making those runs, but he doesn't have the physicality. He doesn't have the ability to make those sneaky runs inside. He's not like a number 8 who can move in, who is there at the right moment, at the right time. So Dewsbury Hall, for me, was a better option, like you said, because he could have a pop, he could have a shot at the defense, he could play a ball straight to, you can say, straight over the top. You could have a better transition in terms of speed also, mobility as well.
What about you, Kev?
What was the question? Sorry.
What do you think about Enzo Fernandez and Dewsbury Hall as well?
Oh yeah. Well, I believe Dewsbury Hall would have been a better fit yesterday. I just feel like we would have carried that ball better up the pitch and got on the ball better than Enzo, especially in this game where we needed someone to carry that ball through the channels. I think Dewsbury Hall does that. Enzo is more of a player who wants to sit and dictate the play. And like the guy just said a moment ago, when we had Enzo with Potter, when he's playing in the pivot by himself, we've seen the best of Enzo. I feel like if there's someone else next to him, that space could be utilised better. So Dewsbury Hall would have been a better fit for me to come off the bench yesterday, but obviously Enzo Maresca had something up his sleeve which we couldn't see. Enzo came on and he wasn't sitting in the pivot; he was more an attacking midfielder. But for me personally, as an attacking midfielder, you got to look to get on the ball in the half turn. You got to look to receive the ball within the lines, and he wasn't doing that. A couple of occasions where he did get in behind, but like Ahmed said, you're playing against 2 6'4" strikers. You're going to get out muscled. There was no, intent to get in behind. So Enzo's a difficult. It's just a difficult player because the price tag is £100 million. We have to try and fit him in, and we're not getting any joy. Where can we fit him in? Do we have to drop better players to fit him in? It shouldn't be like that. Lavia has to start. If Lavia is fit, he has to start in front of Enzo. So what's going to happen with Enzo going forward? It worries me because where are we going to fit him in?
Well, this is the thing, and especially if you look at, I mean, Lavia is not a great example because he's been injured, but Caicedo, even more expensive than Enzo Fernandez, he's just got better and better. You know, he might have had a slightly shaky start to his Chelsea career. Remember the West Ham game, for example, and he had other moments where he wasn't at his best. But gradually, he's molded into his role very well. Became a key player under Poch, and nothing's changed under Maresca. So why can't it be similar with a player like Enzo Fernandez? Can you hear me, Kev?
Oh no, I thought he was asking someone else. My bad.
No.
I just feel like tactically you have to change the system to fit Enzo in, and that's my problem. When you've got Caicedo and Lavia, that for me personally are better players in that pivot, why should we have to change the system to suit them? The only way I could see it happening is if you played all three of them in that role. Enzo as a deep line player like that with Caicedo and Lavia at the side of him, but that means he'd have to drop Palmer or an attacking midfielder, and that's going against the manager's style of play and system. So it's difficult. I just feel like with Enzo, it's so frustrating because we know that the player that's there, you know, when he came in, some of the balls I was seeing him do under Potter, he came in, he was a breath of fresh air. So we need to get that player back. But for me, personally, we're not going to get that player back unless we change the system. So it's a difficult challenge for Enzo to overcome. What we're going to do with Enzo? What we're going to drop players? We're going to change system because obviously with that price tag, he needs game time.
Yeah,
but it's difficult.
It's the commercial side as well. I mean, actually, I say this to a lot of people, and you know, I know fans who support other teams, Wolves, Arsenal, all these other teams. I say to them, I say when I say Chelsea, who's the first player you think of? And nowadays people say Palmer a lot. But one of the other players is Enzo Fernandez. So I know the owners will definitely be thinking about this. The commercial value of a player like that, even with the whole racism scandal as well. Now he's this face of being against racism. It's all commercial, isn't it? I just think that for them, it's something important because you can monetize a player like Enzo Fernandez much more than you can with Lavia, for example, or Dewsbury Hall that we just spoke about. There's just something about him that's totally unique, and it just seems very recognizable. I mean, where do you stand on this, Father? Because me personally, I think everyone's making some very, very good points. I mean, would you like to see Enzo Fernandez play in that 6 on his own? Do you think he needs more time in the position he's currently playing?
I think we've been given enough time, you know, in that position. We try in the 6, we try in the 8, we try in the 10, and my worry thing for me is that if the price tag, like you said, it was like £100 million, but it doesn't start that much. That means that the investment, I think, is going to be a waste. But with that death row contract, and with the way that Maresca really dropping some balls to drop him, even like yesterday, I just think that Maresca needs to find another plan for him, because what I saw from yesterday as well, that he only sticks up to one plan. But then what's happened to if one plan doesn't work? What's the plan A? What's the plan B? What's the plan C?
So you think Maresca only has one plan?
Yeah, that's the thing. He only have one way of play. which is that inverted stuff. But he's got to change the system. He's got to not what I mean that change the system, change the kind of like the setup to kind of accommodate Enzo. But not only Enzo, in my opinion, Nkunku's been on the bench for most of the times this season as well. And my worry things for me is that if those two are not happy with their game time, they're gonna want to talk to their agent and gonna have a look on other options as well to go somewhere else to get a game time.
Yeah,
that's my worrying thing for me.
How many years has Nkunku got left on his contract? 3?
3 or maybe 4.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's interesting you talk about changing the system to accommodate those players. I mean, first of all, so you're telling me you want to see Nkunku more. You're telling me that
Nkunku and Enzo a lot more, just to make them happy, just to keep them happy and settle in the club.
So what do we do to make them happy, Father?
That's the Maresca's job, in my opinion. That's the thing. That's Maresca's.
No. Maresca's job is to make us happy, Father, and get results, not to make Enzo happy. How much is Enzo earning? What's it? 185 grand a week or something? I don't think Enzo's struggling, mate. He's not on benefits. He's doing all right. He's got a family. He's probably got a big house as well. If he's not getting into the team, I don't think that's Maresca's problem. I think that's an Enzo problem. Well, they're both Enzo, but a Fernandez problem. Although I do believe that he can feature more, but I almost think that Maresca is going to be looking at it now and saying, you know what, Enzo, you're still going to play a lot of minutes, just like Nkunku actually is playing more minutes than you realise. But it's not going to be in the Premier League; it's going to be in the cup competitions. Maybe that's the way we need to go, Father.
That's the only thing that maybe. But at the end of the day, like, if Enzo going to play in the Conference League, then he needs to play in this exact position. I don't want to see him as number 6. We've tried that before. He's so slow in terms of the transition. He can't defend. The only way that he can do probably passing forward, and that's it. That's his attribute. He's that type of player that likes to play that number 8, like you said, likes to pass forward, but doesn't defend that much. It's not like Jorginho or Kante.
Jorginho had no pace, but he was really good defensively. So it's you can't just blame it on pace. You've got to have a little bit more to that argument.
Yeah, pretty much.
In the defensive midfield areas, it's not solely on pace. It's about the ability to close space, ability to read situations, ability, to get across your man and defend. And Enzo doesn't give me that playing in a double pivot. I feel like in a double pivot, that gives him more space to do what he wants to do. I feel like he's a bit restricted with his game. I know he wants to get on that ball, but when you got Caicedo next to you, it feels like they're both doing the same job. So for me personally, I feel like we just need one player in the pivot and the 2 at the side. One as a ball carrier, one as a box-to-box. And then I feel like that'll give it more balance in the midfield. I think when we've got 2 in there doing the same job, I feel like one of those 2 players could be utilised better further up the pitch. So I think Enzo needs to really think about how he's going to keep all 3 fit, because like Fat said, players need to play. Like, it's not just about playing in the Conference League and the League Cup. They need to feel appreciated. They need to be starting in these big games and not coming off the bench. And I feel like with Nkunku yesterday, we could clearly see Jackson didn't really want to do the dirty work, dropping deep to get the ball. He was literally wanted to get in behind. And I think Nkunku should have really came on behind Jackson to link the play up a bit. So when he came on the left and Neto went to the right, I was a bit surprised with that substitution. So there's a whole lot of stuff. And to be fair to you, we've got the squad there, but I think we need to just find that formula. Players need to be happy, like Fat said. So what can Enzo do? I think does he rotate it for each game? I feel like we need to have a bit more of a rotational policy with game to game, because some games I feel like Nkunku will be better than Jackson, even though Jackson started the game yesterday and scored. Nkunku, I feel like he would have done a bit more in those areas around the area where he can niggle out a position and get a shot off. I feel like Jackson was a bit too hesitant, and I never really seen him get a touch in and around the box, whereas and Kinku would have done more of that job. So I feel like Enzo needs to really rotate it on a game-to-game basis and not just keep the same starting 11 for all the games.
I mean, it's interesting. Luke made some good points. He says not many teams fully changed their way of playing. We've played multiple different ways, transitioning quickly versus Wolves and Brighton, and a little bit more controlled possession against Poole. Which Poole is that? Which team is that? Oh, Liverpool. Fuck's sake.
I think against Brighton, though.
I was thinking Blackpool. I was like, who's the Poole?
The thing is, against Brighton, we play against a high line team. That's different.
But you changed the way you play because of the way other teams play. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Yep.
You had to.
So he's just basically proved your argument wrong, Father.
What? It's not that.
I can't. I just had to think of something as well. Like maybe, I don't know, man. I just think with that, Maresca gonna have to figure something out,
But I mean, maybe I understand where you're coming from. I mean, because if you're going on a technicality, Luke's obviously right, because we have changed the way we've played. But are you thinking a little bit more radical in terms of a formation change or something totally different to what we've seen, as opposed to whether we do balls in behind or more possession-based football?
It depends on the opposition. If the opposition is going to play a high line, then we'll do what we did against Wolves or Brighton.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. CJ, do you have anything to add on to that?
In terms of the formations and how to play against what teams?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I do think Maresca's adapted a lot more than I expected. I mean, everyone from Leicester said the guy never changes for anyone. And I do feel like he's adapted more than we expected. But is that still not enough? Does he need to change more, or are we just overthinking it?
Honestly, I think you look at most managers and they make adaptations to their team based on who they're going to play. So if you're playing against a Liverpool and you want to keep, a mid to low block, you could do that. If you're playing against Crystal Palace at home, you're playing at home and this is a game where you need to attack more. So you could add on, an extra forward. And it's just I'm cool with how he's moving, because he's shown us, like you said, when you hear what people had said online about this guy, he sticks to one formation, one style of play, does not veer from it. He doesn't make any changes. But then he comes to Chelsea and you see him, being flexible, playing people in certain positions that we wouldn't play them in, because we're looking at it from a point of like, why are you playing him there? He just doesn't look comfortable. But he's a manager. He's the one getting paid big money to figure out how to best improve this team. And, 8 games into the season, I think, being in the top 6, I don't know where we were last season. Were we in the bottom half of the table? Potentially, right?
Yep.
You see Chelsea now, it looks more like a team that knows exactly how the manager wants to play. It's not looking.
You're quite quiet, CJ. I can't hear you as much now.
Oh, I'm saying, is it better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So I'm saying, like, you look at the team now and it looks like everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It doesn't look like a bunch of individuals being, put together and being told, all right, we got a game, go ahead, give us your best. We see the structure, we understand what he's trying to build, and I'm quite happy with that. We've lost 2 big games we've played this season, to Liverpool and Man City. I mean, it could have been a lot better if, you lost one, you drew one, or you lost one, you won one. But it's just, can we get some of these results against the bigger teams? And then when we get there, we'll find out the answers. Because last season, for the most part, against big teams, we stood up and we were accounted. We lost at Anfield to Liverpool, great, but against Man City last season, we took a point in both games. So it's just, I think Maresca will have this season just to be judged on the whole. And then hopefully when we go into some of these big games, we're not losing all of them. We're going to win some big games that we're expected to. So it's just a matter of time. The play who's ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have another. I'm just going to go slightly off piece. Is an interesting tweet that's come out from someone who went to the game yesterday, which is very, I don't want to say controversial, but it's certainly a talking point. But before I do, check out Omely, guys. If you don't know Omely, I'm going to tell you about them now very quickly. It's an app. Basically, you know how we're talking now on YouTube. It's an app where you can do something very similar. How do I describe? Like an app for Twitter Spaces, a Twitter Space app, except it's got nothing to do with Twitter. It's Omely. It's a football debating app. It's literally built for football fans who want to speak after a game with whoever it is that's talking and take a side. There's a QR code up here, guys. Scan the QR code, download it. You can do it on your iPhone. You can do it on Android, any device. Totally free. You don't have to pay for it. It's brilliant. It's so nice being able to say something about a sponsor and there's no money involved. So yeah, that's refreshing. Check it out and let me know what you think about it as well. We will be doing some spaces on there, maybe one tonight. So feel free to jump on and get involved. But we're going to move on to the tweet that I was saying now. It is regarding Enzo Fernandez, the man we were just speaking about. Chelsea fan accountability says, goodness gracious, please look at who started the Enzo didn't clap the fans nonsense before spreading it. Same person wants us to offer Atletico 20 million plus Enzo Fernandez for Gallagher to come back and has had it for Enzo since his fight with Mount at the Bridge. And this is the tweet. It's basically, I actually know Gemma, funny enough. So Gemma's basically saying, nice to see the team clapping the fans, but Enzo's gone straight down the tunnel, which isn't great. So, I mean, any reaction to that, guys?
I think sometimes it's just people, I don't know. Honestly, I think it's one of those things where could we live without that information? Yeah, we could. It's really not significant. Like, bro, we just lost the game. Like, we just lost the game. It's just certain things not everything needs to be highlighted. You don't know why he went. Even if he did, you don't know why he went down the tunnel. He might have had a problem. It could be a lot of things.
It's true that you never just talked about.
Yeah, he could have went to use to the bathroom. Like, it could be anything. Like, he could have probably wanted to go take a shit.
Have you watched the Burnley documentary? What's it called? The one with Vincent Kompany. Have you watched it?
Nah.
Oh man, they've got this documentary. It's a bit like Man City All or Nothing, but it was the Burnley version. And Fofana, the striker who we just got rid of.
Yeah.
He was on loan at Burnley, and I think it was the last game of the season at home, and he just ran down the tunnel, and all the players were like, "Why are you not clapping the fans?" This and that, and he went, "I just went to take a piss." But I mean, surely you can hold it for 2 minutes.
I mean, what? Just piss on yourself? Nah, bro. It's just, look, we've just lost the game.
Yeah.
If you don't like Enzo, great. At this point, it's like,
you think we're just overthinking it at this point?
Yeah, it's one of those, like, if we don't know what we don't know. We just, all we know is we came here, could have left with a point. We did it. Cool. We move. Enzo going down the tunnel after the game, like, yo, let it be, man. It's just I don't get it.
I'm with you. Right, let's get back to the football itself. So one player that we've been speaking about briefly, we've spoken about Jackson, Palmer as well. I mean, what do you make about the front four as a whole? Ahmed, I haven't heard from you for a while.
In terms of the front four, On the basis of yesterday's performance, there is quite an imbalance, to be honest, because Madueke, he shoots quite a bit, but yesterday he did not shoot. Sancho should be shooting. He could have taken at least, I think, 3 shots, but every single time he moved to his right and he's passing it towards, let's say, Cole Palmer or someone else, and that has to be something which has to be which we have to create a balance, to be honest. Means Madueke keeps shooting a lot. He's not shooting on target. Fans had a issue with that as well in a couple of games before, and now we have someone who we are trying too much intrinsic spaces. Basically, we are trying to be very perfect. We could have taken a couple of more shots. Sancho was in very good position. He was in the first 25 minutes. He was very good up there. He was having one-on-one situations. He could have put some balls inside in terms of like something which is different, which brings out something which the Liverpool backline was not expecting. That's what I wanted to see yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, we all expected. I think this was the front four that we expected, but I mean, Father wants to see more of Nkunku, for example. I mean, when he come on, and he was on the left side, if I'm not wrong. And then Neto came on as well and made a great impact. What did you make of the substitutes up top and the impact that they made? Because Enzo was underwhelming, but I mean, it didn't stop us from creating chances.
In terms of the substitutes, I felt that Neto was a really good one. He brought that pace which was required. He tried to do things. He was running. One of the runs which he took from the left side went straight across, in which he dragged completely. He made Trent Alexander-Arnold come towards him, along with him, and it was almost he created a really good chance. In terms of one of the things which I would like to highlight was the fact that Palmer will be man marked from here onwards because everyone is going to be looking at him. Every single player means they are going to be making sure he doesn't get the ball. So others will have to rise up. Madueke, Sancho, Neto, João Felix, Nkunku, Jackson. Others will have to rise to the occasion because somewhere around, like he yesterday created really good free kick. Viega had the header gone up way above the bar. So that is somewhere others will need to rise up because you can't expect him because yesterday he did not have any time to create anything because they had created the midfield in terms of Gravenberch and the centre back pairing. They were so tight. He did not have time on the ball only. He had no runners. No one was running behind other than Jackson. So you need to facilitate some kind of pattern so that he is able to contribute more to the game from here onwards.
Absolutely. And I do think Sancho should have taken a little bit more responsibility. There's times where I just think to myself, like, you're a good player, man. I mean, he's a very creative player and he wants to create, but why can't you just try and score yourself? I mean, that does frustrate me. I mean, do you feel the same way?
Exactly. He could have taken a shot. He could have gone for it. He could have gone, I don't know. He could have taken a shot. It could have deflected in the part of Madueke, Jackson. Anything would have happened. He could have taken a shot and it could have created a doubt in terms of others, in terms of that Liverpool backline, like he's taking a shot. So it could shift something. It could create some space for Palmer to move in. Anything could have happened. He did not take a single shot yesterday. And that was, I was like, you could have made something.
I mean, if that was Madueke on the left-hand side and he was right-footed, then, I mean, he would have had a crack a couple of times, I'm sure. But, I mean, I do think Madueke tried to create, and he did create, but, I mean, Liverpool did defend well. Let's hear from Kev.
Liverpool defended solidly throughout. And when you've got Van Dijk, he's been there for how many years? Canute building a formidable partnership. The back four speaks for itself. Apart from Joel Matip, out of that back four, back five, Alisson in there, they've been together for 5-6 years. They know each other's games in and out, and you can clearly see how they defend yesterday. And I think when we made the substitutions, when we brought Neto on, he was a breath of fresh air to see. He was getting at him. He was trying to get in behind. He was dropping for the ball. He was cutting inside. He was doing a lot. And he's obviously having cracks and goals as well. And that's what we said first half. We was working the balls into good positions for a cross or a shot, but we was very hesitant to get it in. And I feel like with Neto on the pitch and then Kenku, we've got players that act out instinct. They just want to have a pop and make things happen. So the substitutions definitely made an impact, but I feel like the game was already killed at that point. I feel like Liverpool took the sting at the game. There was passing the ball slowly around the back, and there was bringing fouls on, and it was getting the ball down the channels, and there was just making it hard for us. And it's down to experience. And this is the thing: when you've got an experienced leader like Van Dijk in your back line, doesn't matter who's behind there, because they had Kelleher instead of Ellison, but it still looked like there was. But the Kelleher looks composed because he's got Van Dijk in front of him. And this is what I mean by leadership. When we haven't got that in our back four, we haven't got that as a keeper. We have got no leadership. So it was very hesitant. This is why you found that Cole was giving the ball away cheaply. This is why passing looked a bit shaky first half. Because we needed someone like Thiago Silva to say, you know what, lads, just calm down. And Sanchez, he's bringing a lot of pressure on. When he needed to hoof it, he was kicking it short. And I was saying to you, we're going to concede a goal off one of these soon. We're going to concede a goal off one of these soon. And, it nearly did happen. But in answer to the rest of the game, attacking-wise, I feel like Neto was brilliant. I think Madueke, too many touches. Sometimes I feel like he needs to just get it off, get a cross or shot off. Sancho, I feel like when he's out wide, he's not used to the best of his abilities. I feel like with Sancho, in the box, that's where you need Sancho. Someone that could have a bit of trickery or cut in, cut left and find that little bit of a space for a shot or cross. I feel like when he's out wide, I think Trent had him in his back pocket, personally. So the substitutions were better than the players that started at Anfield yesterday.
Fair enough. Listen, guys, I'm going to wrap it up in 2 minutes because I actually have to go to work. But listen, before I finish it off, just your overriding thoughts, 30 seconds each, and then we'll finish up there. Let's start off with Father. How would you summarize in 30 seconds?
30 seconds. Should have, could have, would have done something better, but. Yeah, it's not over yet, guys. So top four. I think we're gonna be a top 4 team.
CJ?
I think we're improving. We're not always going to lose these games. Palmer's not always going to be this quiet, and I think we're going to get top 4 as well.
I like it. I like the optimism. Ahmed?
Yesterday's result was, yes, a loss. We all know that, but overall, I'm happy with the performance. We have seen a good progress in terms of the last 8 games in terms of this season, and I just hope we can get into the top 4. So from there onwards, we have something to build on.
100%. I mean, we've got a lot of building blocks, and I think we've certainly made progress if we compare it to last year. Kev?
Progress is evident to see, and I feel like just off yesterday's performance alone, when you see the way we set up last year against Liverpool, we didn't know if it was a pressing team, we didn't know if it was a build at the back team, we didn't know if it was a counter team. Yesterday, it was clear to see that we were trying to be composed on the ball and find the right spaces to get the ball out wide and get the ball in the mix. So there's definitely a formula. It's definitely working. I just feel like we need to get back to winning ways now. I feel like the next game is Panathinaikos and Newcastle at home. We need to get back to winning ways so we can push for that top 4, but definitely on the cards. So let's keep on improving.
I love it. Well, listen, guys, if you haven't already smashed the like button, please do. I think I'll take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, we've only got 31 thumbs up at the moment, so let's see if we can get up to 50 at least. I mean, this is the first live show in God knows how long, well, ever. Yeah, we'll do this regularly, and we'll get back up to where we need to be. But I appreciate you all watching. I appreciate everyone from the panel for coming on. Thanks, Ahmed. Thanks, Kev, CJ, and Father. I do appreciate your time.
Always, bro.
And look, we've had a good chat. I would have gone for longer, but I've got a train to catch, and I need to get changed because I still got my pajama bottoms on. But listen, we'll be back very soon. Maybe even a stream tonight. If I can fit it in, I will. Listen, I appreciate all your time, and big up to everyone in the chat that's been watching and everyone that's interacted with us as well, giving our thoughts. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Peace, bro.
Thanks a lot.